Boston isn't just one of the oldest cities in the US. It's quietly become one of the most savage places to live in 2025. It's in the top 10 real estate markets to watch this year, and with billions in development, this city is evolving faster than you can say wicked smart. And if you haven't lived here lately, Boston is not the city that you remember. Look, as someone who's helped hundreds of families relocate, buy, and sell here as a top realtor, I've seen both sides of the coin. Some people absolutely love their move. Others, they regret it hard. So if you're thinking about moving to Boston or already live here and want to make a smart move, this video is going to help you make the right decision or avoid making the wrong one. Let's get into it. Boston, the right move for you? Let's zoom out. You now see the real Boston. Not the brochure, not the highlight reel, not the Google search version, but the real life lived in version of what it means to move here, grow here, build here, and thrive here in 2025. Because you've seen how the lifestyle shifts neighborhood by neighborhood, what it actually costs to buy here, and how to do it smart. The hidden gems, the local secrets, the seasonal rhythm to the city, what makes Boston different, and why that difference matters. So now the question is simple. Is Boston the place where your next chapter begins? The Boston Lifestyle 2025 edition. Everyone thinks they know Boston, the Red Sox, the accents, the cold winters. But the Boston of 2025, it's a whole different animal. You want that city life with rooftop bars, water views, and luxury condos? Head down to the seaport. It's basically Boston's version of Miami, but with more biotech bros and better lobster. Prefer a little grit and character? Alston's your spot. Dive bars, late night eats, and more musicians per square mile than Nashville. And the food scene? Forget the tired chowder and lobster roll cliches. Boston's got Michelin-starred tasting menus in Cambridge, Caribbean joints in Dorchester, and ramen shops in the back of dive bars. Want to impress your out-of-town friends? Book a table at Oh Yeah, or grab late-night Korean fried chicken in Allston. Want to eat like a real Bostonian? Mike's Pastry in the North End at 1 a.m.? Don't ask questions. But here's what really separates Boston. It's not a city that screams for attention. It just delivers. Well, New York is Broadway and Miami is bottle service. Boston is marathons, music festivals, and block parties with, a real community. And if someone tells you Boston is boring, just wait until I tell you about Gaslight, the Greenway concerts, and the actual best seafood festival in the entire country. We're just getting warmed up. Boston experiences all 4 seasons, each bringing its own charm and challenges. Summers can be warm and pleasant, while winters are cold and snowy. This variety allows residents to enjoy a range of seasonal activities from summer festivals to winter sports, kind of like finding a spot in South Eden Park. Unlike some other major cities, Boston offers a blend of urban and suburban lifestyles. Want that urban experience with rooftop bars and waterfront dining? We've got that in neighborhoods like the Seaport District and downtown. But maybe you're more into a laid-back vibe with local breweries and vintage shops, then areas like JP or Jamaica Plain or Somerville might be a better fit. Speaking of food, Boston's culinary scene has completely exploded. From our famous clam chowder to high-end steakhouses, the city offers a diverse range of dining options. You absolutely need to try a lobster roll from Neptune Oyster. Trust me on this and you'll thank me later. After you've had it, come back and drop a comment. But I still haven't told you about another thing that makes Boston completely stand out. And if you've ever heard someone say that Boston is boring, just tell them what I'm about to share with you. While New York has its Broadway shows and Chicago has its deep dish pizza, Boston has year-round events and festivals for everyone. First up, we've got the Boston Marathon, which brings just so many runners together from all over the world. But that's just the beginning. You've also got things like the Red Sox games packing out Fenway, and so many food festivals, the Boston Wine Festival, Dine Out Boston, and let's not forget about the Boston Seafood Festival, where you can sample some of the best seafood in the region. I promise it's one of the best in the country. And that's not even counting our monthly events like First Fridays at SOA Art and Design District, where the area turns into a massive, and I mean massive, block party with local artists and food trucks everywhere. Speaking of artists, I haven't even told you about what our art scene will be looking like in 2025, because believe me, it's about to change for the better. The Museum of Fine Arts is currently undergoing a significant expansion project, incorporating new galleries and public spaces that will completely redefine the museum's surrounding. I'm talking about new exhibition halls and community spaces, but that's far from being it. They've also been working on a brand new contemporary art wing. And looking at what they have planned, this project will most definitely be key to the art scene growth I've been telling you about. What makes Boston different from other cities is that our events aren't just concentrated downtown. One weekend, you might be at a waterfront concert at the Hat Shell along the Charles River. The next year in a neighborhood food festival in the North End. And the weekend after that, you're checking out Head of the Charles Regatta. Well, New York dazzles with its nonstop pace, and other cities boast theme parks. Where Boston shines with its year-round events and festivals, it can't be beat. Boston hosts its own unique celebration. Boston Calling Music Festival packs in the top acts and crowds that rival any other festival. The Boston Marathon festivities create an electric atmosphere that unites the city every single spring. There's a reason they call it Boston Strong. Seasonal events like First Night and numerous local street fairs showcase Boston's cultural diversity. And let's not forget about the vibrant block parties in neighborhoods like Allston and Cambridge. The real cost of living in 2025. If you're thinking about moving to Boston, the first thing you need to know is simple. Boston in 2025 is expensive, and you need a plan. Whether you're renting or buying, costs move fast, and the numbers do not leave much room for error. Start with rent. A one-bedroom apartment in South Boston now averages between $3,000 and $3,500 a month. Downtown Crossing, plan to be closer to $3,800. Head into East Boston or parts of Dorchester, and you're still going to find some one-bedrooms hovering around $2,400 to $2,800. But those listings move fast. September is still king on the move-in months, so timing your search matters if you want options and negotiating power. If you're thinking about buying, the reality is even sharper. The median condo price citywide in early 2025 sits around $735,000, but neighborhood matters. A two-bedroom in the South End runs closer to $1 million, while you might find a renovated condo in Hyde Park, $500,000. Starter homes in West Roxbury and Rosendale remain possible for under $750,000, but inventory is tight. Multiple offer situations are not rare. They're expected. Then you have the daily cost. Expect your monthly utilities for a typical two-bedroom apartment to land between $200 and $300, depending on heat and AC usage. A monthly T-Pass costs $90. And if you have to park downtown, many garages charge between $300 and $550 per month. Grocery prices track high too. A weekly shop for two people at Star Market, Roach Brothers, or Whole Foods, well, it's gonna easily cross $150 without much effort. Now, Boston consistently ranks in the top 5 US cities for highest cost of living. It trails only behind places like New York and San Francisco, according to recent data from the US Census Bureau and all the updates that they've done for 2025. So the bottom line, your income needs to match the rhythm here. Comfortable lifestyle often starts around a household income of $120,000 to $150,000. And if you want more flexibility, the higher is honestly, as always, better. Are you factoring in more than the rent when you think about your move? Are you ready for a city where budgeting means playing offense and not defense? And once you start figuring out where your money stretches the farthest, the next natural question is, where exactly should you live to match your lifestyle goals? Let's break down some of the best neighborhoods for different kinds of people and what those choices mean for your future here. Whether you're planning a move to Boston, thinking about buying a place near all this action, or selling your home to upgrade into a different neighborhood, my team and I help you find the right move without the guesswork. Where you live in Boston, it kind of shapes your experience. The same city, different street, completely different rhythm. So choose the right neighborhood and you start way ahead of the game. Now, if you want luxury, water views, and a fast-paced lifestyle, start with the Seaport District. New high-rises, rooftop pools, walkable dining. It's just like, this area is crazy. But rents for a one-bedroom average around $4,000. Buying a two-bedroom condo easily lists for $1.2 million and often goes higher depending on the floor and the view. It feels closer to Miami than old-school Boston, packed with biotech offices, waterfront patios, and tech bros. Prefer grit and character over the polished glass towers, while Alston and parts of Brighton offer dive bars, independent music venues, late night pizza, and a ton of energy from nearby universities. You'll find cheaper rents around $2,200 to $2,800 for a one bedroom, and a casual, unpolished vibe. If you want a strong community feel and green spaces without losing, city access, Jamaica Plain, or JP, it hits the mark. You have the Arboretum, you have Jamaica Pond, and a strong local business scene anchoring this neighborhood. A one bedroom rents for around $2,800, and buying a 2 or 3 bedroom condo will run you between $600,000 and $850,000. Families or buyers planning, longer stays often focus on West Roxbury, Rosendale, or Dorchester's quieter pockets like Ashmont. Single family homes with yards, quieter side streets, and proximity to commuter rail lines. It defines these areas. And the median price in West Roxbury is around $750,000, and it still has a T-stop nearby. So if you need prestige and walkability, Back Bay and Beacon Hill are still in the lead. Think brownstones, classic architecture, and central access to the Common, Newbury Street, and Copley Square. Renting a 2-bedroom in Back Bay runs north of $5,000, while condos can climb into the $1.5 million plus territory fast. Want academic energy and dense walkability without being in Boston proper? Look at Cambridge, Somerville. These cities have their own school systems, city halls, and identities. Think tech workers, creatives, and professors packed into bike-friendly streets, coffee shops, and farmers markets. Prices match the demand though. Somerville's median home price cracked $900,000 this year. So the real question is, who do you want to live around? And what kind of energy do you want outside of your door? If you're serious about making a move and you want help matching the right neighborhood to your goals, my team and I help buyers and sellers every day make smart choices based on lifestyle, not just price tags. Reach out if you're thinking about buying your next place or your first place here. If you're moving to Boston or trying to upgrade your lifestyle, here your job needs to match the cost of living. The good news, Boston's economy is strong in 2025. The catch? Well, competition moves fast and networks matter more than resumes, honestly. Biotech remains a heavyweight. Kendall Square in Cambridge still leads the world in biotech density. You got companies like Moderna, you have Biogen, and hundreds of smaller startups here aggressively having entry-level jobs start at $85,000 to $100,000, while experienced professionals easily command six-figure salaries and signing bonuses. Now, healthcare holds steady. Longwood Medical Area anchors hospitals like Brigham and Women's Boston's Children's and Dana-Farber. Nurses, researchers, administrators, and physicians stay in demand. Median RN salaries here in Boston hover around $105,000. Higher education is another anchor. Harvard, MIT, Northeastern, BU, dozens of smaller institutions keep the city's academic engine running. If you work in education, administration, or research, this city offers stability, but often with mid-range salaries compared to biotech or just tech. Now, tech and AI are growing fast too. Companies around Kendall Square, Seaport, and the financial district look for software engineers, product managers, and UX designers. Entry-level tech roles start at almost $100,000 to $120,000, with mid-career climbing roles quickly going past $150,000. And Boston's footwear and apparel world, well, it still holds a lot of weight. Converse, New Balance, Reebok, and Puma North America all maintain their corporate offices here. I started my own career at Converse HQ near the Zakim Bridge before moving into roles at Nike. And I saw firsthand how connected this city is for product design, branding, and merchandising. If you're in footwear, design, or product management, Boston stays one of the strongest hubs outside of the West Coast. The job market rewards speed, credentials, and relationships. Submitting an online application without a connection often goes nowhere. If you know people, leverage them. If you don't, focus on networking events, alumni networks, and professional groups fast. When it comes to supporting a Boston lifestyle, target salaries matter. In 2025, a single person looking for a comfortable living in the city aims for an income of around $100,000 to $120,000. Dual income households often cross $200,000 if they want to buy property inside the city limits without feeling stretched. Is your industry keeping pace with Boston's market? If not, well, make sure it's a strategic move, because changing fields, adding skills, finding hybrid roles, it gets you closer to your goals here. If you're planning a career-driven relocation to Boston, or if you're already here but want your next home or investment to match your income jump, my team and I help people map out smart moves every single week. Now that you know where your paycheck comes from, let's talk about how you'll use it and whether renting or buying makes more sense for your next move, or if selling and upgrading to a new side of the city, a new town, makes sense. If you're moving across the country for work or trying to decide if Boston salaries match your lifestyle goals, reach out. We help clients every single day plan smarter moves, whether buying their first home, relocating, or building their investment future here. Buying versus renting, smarter moves. In Boston, whether you rent or buy is not just about personal preference. It's about the math, the timing, and how long you plan to stay. No, I'm serious. Right now in 2025, the average rent for a one-bedroom apartment in Boston sits between $3,000 and $3,500 depending on the location. Seaport and Back Bay easily push that closer to $4,000. If you need a bedroom, well, expect $4,500 or higher unless, let's be honest, you're outside the city in the middle of nowhere. On the buying side, condos have hit a median price of around $735,000 citywide. South End two beds list around $950,000. New builds in the Seaport start above $1.2 million. Even areas like East Boston and Dorchester, once seen as affordable alternatives, now price many buyers out without strong financing. If you plan to stay fewer than 3 years, renting often makes more sense. Between closing costs, agent fees, and potential short-term market shifts, you risk losing money on a rushed resale. If you plan to stay at least 5 years, buying starts to tilt in your favor, especially when you factor in home appreciation. Boston home prices have risen around 6 to 8% annually in the past 5 years, according to MLS data. Running the real numbers matters. For example, renting a $3,200 apartment equals about $38,400 a year that never comes back. But a $700,000 condo with a 10% down at current interest rates results in a mortgage of around $4,500 a month after taxes and HOA fees. Add the benefit of principal paydown and appreciation, and ownership builds equity while rent builds, well, honestly, your landlords, because you're always paying someone's mortgage. Does it benefit you or not? So buying brings things like maintenance, assessments, and property taxes, costs that renters avoid. The smarter play is asking, how long will you stay? What's your budget flexibility? Do you want to have fixed housing costs or the flexibility to move without any penalty? If you're not sure, well, that's where my team steps in. We help people look at the real numbers, not just the online calculators that aren't really accurate. We help you figure out if buying now makes sense or if renting short term keeps the bigger goal in reach. Speaking of living smarter, let's talk about how you'll get around once you pick your place. Because in Boston, your commute's not a small thing. It changes not only your whole day, but your whole lifestyle. Let's get real about transportation next. So transportation and getting around without losing your mind. All right, Boston works best if you know how to move through it. Transportation shapes your day-to-day life more than you think. And if you plan wrong, you lose hours every week to stress you could have avoided. The MBTA, known as the T, is still the heart of, well, all the public transit here. In 2025, the red line, the orange line, the blue line, the green line keep most of the city moving. but well, let's be honest. Reliability depends on the line. The Red Line runs the strongest, supposedly, especially from Cambridge to South Station. The Green Line is still the slowest. Street level trains plus frequent stops means it's faster to honestly walk 2 or 3 stations in some cases. It's tough. The Orange Line, after several upgrades, feels better this year, but let's be honest, it breaks down a lot, like a lot. The Blue Line remains honestly the secret weapon for people commuting from East Boston or north of the city. Fares cost $2.40 per ride, or about $90 for a monthly unlimited pass. If you work or study near a T-stop, you can build a life without a car. But if your job pulls you to a suburban campus like in Waltham, Burlington, or on that 495 belt, you're gonna need wheels. Driving in Boston is its own experience. The streets were designed for horses, not SUVs. One-ways, blind turns, and street-changing names without warning, well, it's just normal. A GPS is gonna help, but it won't save you from rotaries, unexpected lane drops, or no parking zones you missed because the sign was, well, half a block back or just wasn't there anymore. Owning a car adds real costs. Garage parking can easily run $350 to $550 a month downtown. Residential parking, well, the permits, they're free, but finding a space near your home in the South End, Beacon Hill, or Back Bay, well, it's a scavenger hunt and it's more time spent than actually getting a spot. And after snowstorms, you deal with parking saver culture. I mean, that's folding chairs, trash bins, anything people use to guard the spot they shoveled out. There's also biking, and it works better than ever in the bike lines that are growing across the city, but winters limit that to kind of like the hardcore crazy people. Yeah, I said it, they're crazy. If your commute matters more than anything else, map it first. Stand on the T platform at 8 a.m. or drive the Pike during rush hour before you commit to a lease or a mortgage. And if you're picking your next home based on your commute, parking needs, or walking priorities, my team can help you lock in a location that fits, not frustrates, your lifestyle from day one. Now that you know how you're getting around, let's be honest about where you'll feel the most comfortable. Safety still matters, and knowing the real street level truth beats, well, reading a headline, let's be honest. Let's talk next about what Boston feels like block by block. Boston ranks as one of the safer major US cities. But like any city, safety shifts block by block. Headlines only tell part of the story. And if you're serious about living here, you need to know about the streets and how they feel and what it's like when you're walking home at night, not just how they look on a map. Most of downtown, Back Bay, Beacon Hill, the North End feels busy and safe well into the evening. You'll see people walking dogs, jogging, or heading home from late dinners without a second thought. The financial district thins out after work hours, but it stays well lit. Now in South Boston, the vibe depends on where you are. Near Broadway Station, the restaurant and bar scene keeps things lively, but towards, Andrews Square late at night, things get quieter and you'll want to stay alert. Dorchester, Roxbury, and Mattapan show huge differences street by street. Seven Hill, Ashmont, and Dorchester feel safer today than they did a decade ago, thanks to new investment and community programs. Still, knowing where you are matters. Locals read the blocks, not the neighborhood label. Now, East Boston has evolved fast. Jeffreys Point and Maverick Square are packed with new developments and feel active late into the night. Other parts farther out toward Orient Heights stay quieter and, more residential. Charlestown, JP, and Rossi carry strong community feels. Lots of families and people walking out and about year-round. Same with West Roxbury, which feels, honestly more suburban. So smart moves, stay on the well-lit main streets if you're coming home late. Know your train stops. Some T stations feel safer than others after dark, so keep that in mind. And also use Boston's 311 app to track real-time street reports and issues around your potential neighborhood. For buyers, homes near active retail corridors, libraries, and community centers tend to hold value better and feel busier at night, which makes, walking safer. For sellers, that proximity to parks, schools, and busy public spaces give listings an edge because families, well, they pay attention. So safety isn't about fear in Boston. It's about awareness and learning the normal rhythms of your block. Now, let's pull back for a second. Boston gives you city life, but also gives you an easy way to get out of the city fast. When you need space, fresh air, or water views that don't cost $2,000 a square foot, where do you go? Let's talk about the outdoor life and the weekend getaways that locals swear by. That outdoor life and, well, easy escapes. One of the biggest surprises for people moving to Boston is how fast you can get out of the city and into real, actual nature. When the concrete feels tight or the winter grind gets long, you don't have to go very far for a reset. Inside the city, you have plenty of green space. The Esplanade runs along the Charles River with miles of trails for running, biking, and picnicking, or just hanging out. The Boston Common and Public Garden anchor downtown with wide lawns, swan boats, and a serious dog walking scene. Watch where you step. The Arnold Arboretum in Jamaica Plain pulls in families, runners, and hikers year-round with its open meadows and winding paths. And if you want a bigger change of scene, weekend escapes are built into the local culture. Cape Cod is about 90 minutes away, perfect for beach days, lobster rolls, and coastal anything. But don't call it Cape Cod, it's the Cape. Portland, Maine offers waterfront food tours, breweries, rocky beaches, and it's only a couple-hour drive or train ride. The White Mountains in New Hampshire pull in hikers and skiers with trailheads like Franconia Ridge that give you full fall foliage views and just the serious winter workouts. I have a house at Attitash. It is the best skiing. I love it there. I've been going since I was a kid. Now, you do not need to own a car to reach all these places either. Ferries to P-Town run from the seaport. The Amtrak Downeaster gets you to Maine easily. The MBTA's commuter rail can take you to beaches like Manchester by the Sea without all those parking battles. Access to the outdoors keeps Boston livable. Whether you want a quick walk at Jamaica Pond after work or a whole weekend hiking Mount Washington, you have options without feeling locked inside all of the city walls. For buyers, proximity to park, beaches, or easy commuter routes to the Cape adds hidden value to property. For sellers, mentioning walkability to trails or quick access to weekend escapes draws in the right crowd, especially from people moving here from bigger, denser cities who miss green space. Are you picturing weekends on the Cape? Sunday morning runs by the river? Quick beach days without booking flights? Now you know where Bostonians find breathing room. Let's shift to something even more personal. The unwritten rules and quirks of daily life here. Because once you start living here like a local, you're gonna realize that Boston plays by its own rules. So let's get into it. Local quirks you'll either love or hate. Living in Boston means picking up a second language, not of words, but of habits and unspoken rules. If you know them, you fit in fast. If you fight them, every small interaction feels, well, harder than it needs to be. All right, first up, I'm sure you've heard of it, parking spot savers. After a snowstorm, if someone shovels out a parking space, they often reserve it with whatever they have. Folding chairs, milk crates, traffic cones. Technically, it's legal. In practice, it's respected. Block by block, it's important. Move a saver, take someone's spot, and expect a cold reception or worse when you return. Dunkin's loyalty is real. You've seen Ben Affleck. You see the people lined up at 6:30 a.m. holding iced coffees in 20-degree weather. Fancy new coffee shops pop up every month, but Dunkin' is a culture move, not just a caffeine hit. Language shortcuts matter too. A bubbler is a water fountain. A packy, well, that's the liquor store. The Pike means the Massachusetts Turnpike. Wicked means extremely, and locals still throw it into conversation without ironing. Crosswalks are more of a negotiation than a rule, honestly. Drivers often inch towards you as you cross. Pedestrians often step off curbs without warning. Watch how locals move and watch their confidence level if you want to survive downtown without getting hit. It's one of those things. Hesitation traffic. Christmas in Allston, or Allston Christmas, is another real thing. Every September 1st, when the leases turn over, the sidewalks of Allston and Brighton fill with dumped furniture, mattresses, and half-broken desks. If you're new and moving into a student-heavy area, September chaos is part of the deal, but you can also get some great stuff. So remember, take the day off. Boston's quirks make life here unpredictable, but memorable. If you roll with them, the city opens up faster. If you push against them, daily life feels heavier than it needs to be. And if you're thinking about buying or selling here, knowing these little cultural habits, it helps more than you'd guess. A parking space near downtown, a corner coffee shop loyalty, or a September 1st lease date can tip a deal faster than square footage alone. Living here, well, it means learning the small moves. Are you ready for them? Once you do, well, you're ready to handle the real Boston experience, starting with the year that shapes everything. Your first 12 months here. Yes, that first year. Let's talk about what that first year feels like and why it matters more than any tour guide ever tells you. The first year reality. Your first year living in Boston builds the foundation of everything that comes next. No matter how much research you do ahead of time, the city, it's going to teach you some real lessons once you're walking the streets, commuting, finding your rhythms day to day. The first thing you notice is speed. Boston moves fast. People talk fast. We walk fast and expect you to know where you're going, even when you don't. If you stall at a subway turnstile or a crosswalk, no one will wait. After a few weeks, you'll match the pace without thinking about it. I promise you. You're also going to realize quickly that small wins matter. Finding a dry cleaner you trust, learning which side streets always have parking after 6 p.m., figuring out the best local breakfast spot where you don't have to wait 40 minutes for something that's honestly mediocre. These little victories start stacking up, and before you realize it, the city feels like less of a maze and more like a system that you finally figured out. The first winter hits harder than you expect. Snow comes heavy, cold seeps in. Walking through it, well, it builds a different type of resilience. It builds character. People who make it through their first February tend to stay a long time. Neighborhood identity also shows up stronger once you live here. Saying you live in Southie, JP, Eastie, or Charlestown means something. You start noticing where the best parks are, which cafes locals actually hang out in, and, well, which blocks you want to avoid late at night. You'll make mistakes too. You'll leave your car in a street cleaning zone and get that $90 ticket. You'll misjudge, well, when that last T train is and end up with a walk home longer than you wanted or having to call an Uber. You'll think you know the fastest driving route and end up stuck in a rotary wondering how you missed the exit again, or you didn't get out of the tunnel on the right exit and you had to loop around Starl. It's painful. But after about a year, those mistakes stop feeling heavy. They turn into stories you tell newer friends who move here after you have. Boston stops feeling like a challenge and it starts feeling like, well, home. If you're thinking about making that move, or if you're planning a sale or a purchase that lines up with a major life change, my team is here to help you make the first year smarter, not harder. Every conversation starts with real questions about how you live, not just what you want to buy. Now that you've got a feel for what living here looks like day to day, let's zoom out for a second and talk about the bigger forces shaping Boston. How zoning, housing rules, and development will shape the city you're moving into. Zoning and housing development. Boston's charm comes with a price, and part of that price is how slowly and carefully the city grows. Zoning laws here shape everything about what gets built, where it gets built, and how expensive it is to live here. Most of Boston's zoning codes date back decades, and although updates happen, the basic pattern stays the same. Strict rules, heavy neighborhood input, and long approval timelines. If you want to add a deck, convert a triple decker, or build anything new, you often need a bunch of community hearings, zoning variances, and multiple layers of permits. This cautious growth protects the historic feel of the neighborhoods like Beacon Hill, South End, and parts of Dorchester. It also means that new housing supply stays tight, prices stay high, and bidding wars, well, they stay fierce. Developers now focus mostly on high-density luxury units, especially in places like Seaport and East Boston, because they need bigger profit margins to survive the approval and construction hurdles that are going to come. Affordable housing initiatives exist, but they move slower than honestly is needed, and how much needed. If you're buying, this means three things. Inventory stays limited, especially your first-time buyer, and all those types of price points. Renovations and expansions often take longer and cost more than in other cities. Property near future approved development zones tends to appreciate faster. If you're selling, zoning plays a role too. A home with expansion potential, like a large lot in Rosendale or a 2-family in East Boston, well, it attracts more offers from investors and future owner occupants alike. In 2025, Boston is wrestling with its own future. How to keep growing without losing what makes it feel like Boston. You got things like new construction filling the Seaport and parts of Southie, but neighborhoods like Jamaica Plain, West Roxbury, and Charlestown still fight to protect their traditional layouts. If you're planning your move here or selling a home, you need someone on your side who understands where the growth is headed, where prices are stabilizing, and how zoning might impact your investment years down the line. My team works every day with clients who want to move. Honestly, it's more than a transaction. They want a smart plan built on real street-by-street knowledge. You've now seen the real Boston, not the version that you find in travel guides or glossy headlines. The Boston you live, build, and adapt to, and thrive in. Well, if you're ready to start next chapter, whether you're buying, selling, or moving across the country, my team and I are ready to help you make Boston work for you. Let's start the conversation.